Mangwana Nimale Lepo Vukenjani, Click Class Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. The news and current affairs show bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Bedi and Glenora Shupura and the spirit of the brave warriors.
You already know why I'm smiling. Right?
Yeah, it's time. It's time.
It's time.
The Angolans might outdance us.
No.
They
We are
might
going to
outdress
claim
us. Depends on the
We're going to claim who's the real owner.
Yes, they might
of
outdress us
Wicked
depending on the time of the day.
They
but
might
right, outdress us.
Yeah.
Depends
Oh, they
on the
might.
time of the day.
Okay, they might outdress us.
Depends on the time of the day and
Yes.
the occasion. I've seen some red suits, but tomorrow it's all about football, guys.
It's all about football, guys. Yes, it's all about. They might outdress us, but they will not outplay us.
There we go.
That's
Look
a good
at
one.
New poets.
Let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Namibia ranked as the 13th most expensive city to live in Africa. Ghana coup 6 sentenced to death, including soldiers, and Zimbabwean opposition leader Nelson Chamisa leaves hijacked Triple CC party. And we'll also be speaking to Mike Sichula, who will be filling us in on the latest news in Zambia. Do stay tuned for these and more on Africa. Good morning.
Now, the Namibia Cost of Living Index this year has ranked Namibia's Windhoek as the 13th most expensive city to live in Africa, making it one of the least cheapest cities to live in on the continent. The 5 most expensive cities to live in Africa, according to the index, are Addis Ababa, Harare, Johannesburg, Pretoria, and South Africa. Other African cities where the cost of living was ranked less than Windhoek was Egypt, Cairo, Accra, Alexandria also in Egypt, Kigali in Rwanda, Nairobi in Kenya, and Lagos in Nigeria. You know something very interesting? From these countries which are the most expensive to live in, there's a disparity. And some of these countries and cities need to ask themselves questions. Because they're in the top 5 with Zimbabwe, which happens to have the worst inflation in the world.
Yeah.
Which means if you don't have the worst inflation in the world, why are you expensive?
I'm wondering too. Now getting into our next story. 2 British museums are returning gold and silver artifacts to Ghana under a long-term loan arrangement. 150 years after the items were looted from the Asante people during Britain's colonial battles in West Africa. The British Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, together with the Manyiha Palace Museum in Ghana, on Thursday announced the important cultural collaboration which sidesteps UK laws that prohibit the return of cultural treasures to their countries of origin. Those laws have been used to prevent the British Museum from returning the Parthenian marbles, also known as the Elgin marbles, to Greece. Some 17 items in total are involved in the loan arrangement, including 13 pieces of Asante Royal Regalia purchased by the V&A at auction in 1874. The items were acquired by the museums after they were looted by British troops during the Anglo-Asante Wars of 1873 to 1874 and 1895 to 1896. This is quite interesting.
You have to get our full opinions on that. Stick around for Smell the Coffee after the show. But for now, let's continue. In Zimbabwe, the opposition leader Nelson Chamisa has left his hijacked CCC party. Just over 2 years at the helm of the Citizens Coalition for Change, opposition leader Nelson Chamisa announced yesterday that he was leaving the opposition party. In a 13-page statement, the former leader of the CCC explains his decision. He first takes stock of 44 years of ZANU-PF rule in the country. He accuses the ruling party of entrenching authoritarianism in Zimbabwe and stealing last year's presidential election. He specifically lingers over the December 9 by-elections. Those were organized after the Citizens Coalition for Change lost 33 parliamentary seats after an imposter announced in Parliament that they had left the party, resulting in the loss of their seats.
Now, next story, 6 Ghanaians, among them 3 military personnel, have been sentenced to death by hanging for their role in a coup conspiracy that unfolded 3 years ago. There was a heavy security deployment outside the High Court in Accra during the sentencing on Wednesday. This historic case marks Ghana's first treason trial since 1966, the year of the overthrow of the post-independence leader Kwame Nkrumah. The individuals apprehended in 2021 while experimenting with weapons in the capital city with an alleged intent to overthrow the government have been sentenced following a highly publicized trial that captivated the entire nation. Among the accused is a skilled gunsmith, and despite the gravity of the charges, the group maintained their plea of not guilty throughout the proceedings. Defense lawyers said they would appeal against the ruling in the Supreme Court.
And UNESCO celebrated the International Day of Education and called on Namibia's government to intensify its commitment to providing universal access to education for every learner. They commended the Namibian government for showing leadership at the Transforming Education Summit in addressing the learning crisis, discussing solutions to achieve inclusive and equitable quality education for all by 2030, and reiterating their commitments towards education as a basic human right. Now, despite the progress made in recent decades, they acknowledge challenges that persist in achieving the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda SDG 4. In addition, UNESCO says children in Namibia are completing primary school with minimal foundation skills. Certainly something to be concerned about, and it's good to hear it from UNESCO. It's been echoed within Namibia, and we hope to see the necessary changes. Stay with Africa Good Morning, because after the break, we talk to Mike Sichula, who, as you know, might not be feeling too good after Zambia's exit from AFCON.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's take a look at what's happening in Zambia. Here to bring us the latest in Zambia is Mike Sichula. Good morning, Mike.
Africa, good morning. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Ashwin says I'm not feeling too good, but I think I'm consoled with Namibia, Angola, and South Africa, who are in the second round of the AFCON.
Camaraderie.
But tomorrow he did promise me he's supporting Namibia.
Yeah, he just, no, that's essentially what he's saying,
Yes.
that he's supporting Namibia and Angola, and that makes him feel better. And,
No, only Namibia, that's what I meant.
oh, tomorrow. Yeah, Mike, what happens if you go to penalties?
Definitely, I'll put my money on Namibia so that we have more teams, Southern African sides in the next round, and probably reach the semi-finals.
That's all I needed to hear. Now, getting into your first story, authorities have deferred the reopening of schools and colleges to the 12th of February 2024 due to the outbreak of cholera. Can you get into this?
Yeah, so this is the second deferment. Schools were initially supposed to open on the 4th of January, but they were deferred to 29th of January. But again, the cholera outbreak seems not to be dying down. Hence, the Minister of Education yesterday, Douglas Sirakaima, announced the deferment of the reopening of schools to 12th February 2024. So he says the National Disaster Management Team of Council of Ministers is concerned that despite numerous interventions by authorities, the cases of cholera are not dying down. As you can see from the graph there, we have about 428 people that have died. And in terms of people contracting the disease since October, there are more than 14,000. So most of the schools may not have prepared adequately in terms of providing clean water and also ensuring that learners are protected. So this is why the decision has been made by government to defer the reopening, and also the school calendar for 2024 for private, public, grant-aided and community schools has been adjusted to help learners recover the lost time.
All right. Now, moving on, what is the update on the rescue operation of the 7 trapped miners?
So yesterday, rescue operations entered day 4. Today it's day 5, and what has been happening is that there has been a team of experts from China that have joined the Zambian experts to reinforce the rescue operation. So yesterday they started dewatering the shaft underground, and according to people on the ground, they did say that the dewatering was supposed to be completed by yesterday. However, some families of the trapped miners have called on government to accelerate the process of retrieving their beloved ones, and also government did chip in to say that family members of the trapped miners will receive about 15,000 kwacha for logistical purposes in terms of family members coming in every day to the mine site and also get proper information. Government was providing that money. So the nationals that have come are expected to provide uh, uh, knowledge in terms of how this operation can be successful, but it looks that the operation may not be concluded by in the next 24 hours, considering that the area where the miners are trapped seems to be very difficult for the rescue operation team to reach the miners. And they have also not provided details as to whether the miners are still alive underground or there could be something that may have happened to them. So it's a wait and see. Probably in the next 24 hours, something will be done.
Well, do keep us posted on any further developments in that story. Now, moving on to regional news, what are some of the bilateral agreements? Has Zambia and Botswana signed any agreements?
Yes, President Hakainde Hichilema undertook a 2-day state visit to Botswana, where he met his counterpart, President Masisi. And during that meeting, the two leaders concluded discussion to create the Kazungula Bridge Authority that will be stationed in Botswana. Then also the two countries have also agreed that the chief executive officer of the authority will be a Zambian. So President Masisi disclosed that the outcomes of the meeting are aimed at ensuring that the Kazungula Bridge Authority operates more effectively and contributes to the development of trade within the region. Then the two leaders also engaged in and agreed on various sectors of economic operation, and which include in the agriculture sector, livestock, health, mines, defense, and security, including tourism. As you know, the Kazungula Bridge has opened way in terms of people traveling between the two countries or even into South Africa and other countries. So it is something that the two leaders concluded, and they are hoping that the Kazungula Bridge Authority will be finally commissioned or launched in Livingstone in the next coming 2 weeks, because the team has been set up to ensure that this Kazungula Bridge Authority is finally launched and begins operations as soon as possible.
All right, Mike. Now we swing back to AFCON. As we know, Zambia were 2012 champions of Africa Cup of Nations. Anytime you hold that cup, the expectations will always be high, tournament to tournament, particularly when you have the likes of stars like Patson Daka. Now, Zambia has unfortunately been eliminated from AFCON after drawing twice and then losing to Morocco, a formidable opponent. But what is the feeling in Lusaka?
Wow, the feeling in Lusaka is diverse, because others are thinking the coach should have used the team that played against Morocco when Zambia faced Tanzania, because they believe that the team that faced Morocco played better football than the side that he selected to face Tanzania. So the other fans are saying Zambia lost going into the next round when they failed to beat neighbors Tanzania. And while others are saying the technical bench needs to include other players into the team, especially some of the players that featured in the 2012 winning side to be there. So as you can see in that picture, Suzu, the just number 13, is the only player who featured in 2012 AFCON that was included in this side. So he was the only player with AFCON experience. These others were debutants. So they are asking a lot of questions to say if we had included maybe 2 or 3 of those players from 2012, maybe the team could have gone to the AFCON with a much needed experience to contain the Moroccans, because they believe the way the Zambian side played against Morocco, it just needed a little bit of experience and luck to contain the Moroccans and probably pick up 1 point that Zambia needed to progress to the next round. So others are also saying there's no need to fire the coach because he has built a formidable team. He needs to be given time to push for other tournaments like the upcoming AFCON and World Cup qualifiers.
All right, yeah, no, because I was going to ask about the coach, considering that already 5 coaches have been fired or resigned. And interestingly, Ivory Coast fired their coach, assuming they were eliminated, and now they're going to the next round, and they're trying to loan a coach for the rest of the tournament. So, yeah, patience is key. Thank you, Mike, for bringing us the stories from Zambia.
Thank you very much, and I wish Namibia all the best as they face Angola. It is something that is tight because all these are Southern African nations, but unfortunately, one of them has to go to the next round. I wish Namibia all the best.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. Let's head to the weather. Let's get straight into our economic news story for the day. The Namibia Financial Institution Supervisory Authority will fine micro-lenders who retain borrowers' bank cards, PIN codes, and official documents. The watchdog has warned the Micro-Lending Act of 2018 prohibits the retention of borrowers' bank cards, PIN codes, original identification documents, passports, and original driver's licenses. Micro-lenders found guilty of contravening the act are liable to pay penalties calculated at 10% of the annual value of loan disbursements in the immediately preceding financial year, Namfisa said in a statement. According to Namfisa CEO Kenneth Matomola, consumers of financial services are the most vulnerable members of the financial system.
Now, to be honest, this has been so normalized. I didn't know it was illegal to ask for an ID or any documentation. So this is quite, it's news to me, actually.
Yeah. Every time people talk about it, you never really get into it. Good on Namfisa for standing up for the people. Stay with Africa Good Morning as we head to the indicators just before the sport. All right, as we prepare for AFCON, let's have a look at what you can expect from the games this weekend. Angola and Namibia, that's the big one for us. 7 p.m. is when the boys get going. Nigeria versus Cameroon, two strongholds, while dare I say powerhouses, clashing at 10 p.m. tomorrow. Also at 10 p.m, Egypt and DR Congo. Egypt, certainly not the underdog in that one, but you know, things may change. Equatorial Guinea and Guinea, countries with a lot in common, and they're going to be playing at 7 p.m. So will Cape Verde, the tournament's new kid on the block, and they have been shining. They hope to do that against Mauritania, Senegal, and Ivory Coast. The big boys are clashing again at 10 p.m. Let's have a look at the rest of the sports news.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with tennis news first. Australian Open, and it is semi-finals time, still a few quarter-final games being played. Also, it is week 2, the finals will be over the weekend. On the women's side of the draw, there's a big semi-final, that is number 2 and number 4 seed that will play. It is Aryna Sabalenka, and she will play against Coco Gauff. Aryna Sabalenka number 2 seed, Coco Gauff number 4 seed, and that is in the semi-final of the tournament for a place in the final. And it is Aryna Sabalenka that is the defending champion and also in good form. And also a great performance by Diana Yastremska. She is from the Ukraine. She's 24 years old and a qualifier into the tournament, but she's through to the semi-final after beating Linda Noskova by 6-3 and 6-4. She's trying to win in the semi-final, will put her into the final, and the last time that happened with a qualifier was Emma Raducanu when she won the US Open in 2021. In the men's side of the draw, it is Daniil Medvedev. He's number 3 seed, and he beat Hubert Hurkacz. He's the number 9 seed in 5 sets. It was 6-4 in the 5th set, and he's also into the semi-final. That is Daniil Medvedev. The other semi-final will be played between Novak Djokovic, the number 1 seed, and Yannick Sinner. And it is Novak Djokovic that's a defending champion, and he's also won 24 Grand Slams, and he's won 10 Australian Open titles. And moving on to cricket news, it is India that will host England in a 5-test series, and the first one will start on Thursday, the first test in Hyderabad. And it is England that announced they will play 3 spinners in the test and only 1 seam bowler. Only Mark Wood will be in the team as a seam bowler, and it is 3 spinners, Tom Hartley making his debut, then also Jack Leach and Rian Ahmed that will play in the first test. Ben Stokes is the captain. He's also playing, but he's still battling with the knee injury and will only bat in the game. Also, it seems that India will also play 3 spinners in the test match, and also earlier setback for them when Virat Kohli announced that he will not be able to play in the first 2 tests, and that is because of personal reasons. And to conclude today's international sports news, it's rugby news, and it is the Six Nations European Championship that will start on the 2nd of February, and it is France that will host Ireland in Paris. Massive game that might also be the decider of the tournament, starting with the first game. Those are the 2 form and favourite teams in the Six Nations. On the 3rd of February, on the Saturday, it will be Italy that will host England, and Wales will be at home playing against Scotland. And it is England that announced that Ollie Lawrence is injured. He's the centre, and he won't be able to play against Italy. Also, there's lots of pressure on the back line then for England, because Owen Farrell also announced that he won't be available for the Six Nations, and that is also because of personal reasons related to mental well-being. And also it is Owen Farrell that announced that he will leave Saracens, that is after 13 years of rugby at Saracens. He will sign for Racing, or he did sign for Racing 92, that is a French top 14 side, and that will be from the 1st of July. It's a 2-year deal that he signed, and he played more than 200 games for Saracens. That is Owen Farrell. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Let's have a look at the highlights from this morning's broadcast. How expensive is Windhoek compared to South African living? UK to loan back Ghana's looted crown jewels.
And we are definitely, going to be Where are you going to watch the game?
I'm in City of Windhoek. You know, our MMO Kaya
Yes.
strongly suggests we go to City of Windhoek.
Exactly.
And I'm starting to feel like I need
with
to
our
go.
Namibian flags, you know.
Yeah, and I think I need to go and protect Peter Shalile personally.
Yes,
so-
please protect him personally, especially from Kaya. With that, we've come to the end of the broadcast. From me, Glenn Rashipura.
And me, Ashwin Berry, Sora Jaganaka, and all the best tomorrow, boys.